let me share, Andrea, and my experience with our kids. I didn't realize they were going to be here today, so if they start to twitch a little, that's the way it goes. We have 4 children. Karen, the youngest, is 30, and Ted, who's not here, the oldest, is 37. They all... God, the Hollywood star with the dark glasses. I didn't recognize him. See what can happen to you? You get that old after a while. Oops. They all graduated from Redwood. Now, as we faced the challenge of bringing up the kids, I just want to share with you what you're going to go through, how much fun it is, and you get a feel for the finished product. We drew upon our past. My dad was a wonderfully wise man. I didn't know it at the time, but he gave me lots of rope and let me fail. I didn't disappoint him. The deal we made, and I won't get into this story because it's very colorful and long. The deal we made was, it was up to me, but I had 4 years to complete whatever I wanted to do. Well, I did that, but it took me lots of summer schools and lots of extra work because I made lots of mistakes. So when the boys began college, I was ready for the same formula. Our dreams were going to be fulfilled. Guess who couldn't smell the coffee? Ted started at Berkeley in drama and ended up 8 years later in Eugene in architecture. During that period, he headed for Nepal via Austria. He lasted on that trip about 6 weeks. He worked in a logging mill, built as a carpenter a house in Florida, and today he's a contractor in Marin County. Mike was next, and Mike's there too. Mike was next, and he started in chemistry and forestry in Eugene, and the next year he wanted to find himself. So he enrolled in College of the Redwoods, started building cabinets and taking piano lessons. He did want more challenges, so eventually he enrolled in Humboldt State. When the dollar movies and washing dishes in a roadhouse lost its charm, he tried to get into Berkeley in geology. Being short in English class, he came home to College of Marin for a semester. He finally graduated from UC, total time 6 years. 7? 6. Since then, he's gotten a master's degree in geology and runs an office for underground technology over in Concord. Needless to say, we wondered about our roles as parents. What had happened to 4 years and graduate? Pete, son number 3, accompanied us to England for a year and then came home to graduate with his class at Redwood. There was a lot of me in him because he didn't know what he wanted to do or why he was going to college. I didn't either when I went. He signed up at College of Marin, shared a house over here, and rode a mountain bike back and forth to the campus. And I don't know what he did or how he did it over there. But after 2 years, he came home one day and he said, guess what? I want to be in forestry and landscape architecture, and I've enrolled myself in Colorado State in Fort Collins. Well, after 911 picked us off the floor, we drove him east. 3 years there on the dean's list, not the one that I got on, but the one that he was on, which was the good one. He returned with a wonderful wife, and so after 4 years as a landscape architect here locally, he's now decided that he wants to get a master's degree and teach. And so that's their goal next year. And they have the only Wray male grandson, and they're expecting another male too. That's coming up for sure. So there's a bit of risk in there. What I'm trying to say is set your own goals, and you guys go for it. And they're here to help you and support you, and don't forget it, and keep the doors of communication open. That's really key to the success here. If you kept track of the years involved, you realize by now that Karen left these hallowed walls right here. All the boys were still in college, so the Rays faced 4 of them at the same time, even though they started out spread out. I mean, you know, Planned Parenthood and all that. Karen wanted to use her Redwood crew experience at college, so off she went to the University of Puget Sound to row and to dabble in business. San Diego State offered more, so she hit down south for the sunny climes. The business department was impacted, so she went to Fresno State and spent a lot of time in Fresno State. I think she ended up at San Francisco State. But at any rate, she's really into business now, and she's the buyer for the Sonoma Mission Inn. You can tell I'm really proud of all of them. But I shared these vignettes with you because I do know what many of you and what you are about to commence. This will be a mutual quest, yours for maturity and a successful life, and yours for fulfillment as parents. A few final words on being a teacher. You've heard it all before, so I'll just add to the chorus. It's been a rare privilege to be able to have spent so much of my life with you and thousands like you, of wonderful young people here at Redwood. To have the satisfaction of seeing the light bulb of discovery flash on after weeks and months of power failure and brownout. To experience the reasoned challenges by students that make you think, me, and to question my position on issues. And that to me has been one of the healthiest things that's happened in 30 years, is it's continuous, you're unrelenting, and it's really neat that you never give a teacher an even break. And the mark of a good teacher is when you become smarter than the teacher on the questions you ask. So never set your goals low, go high. All the while that you were doing this, if you can think back about it, you were increasing your self-esteem, your authority on how to deal with issues, and your sense of excellence, and you liked what happened. Earlier this year, I learned that a former student of mine from environmental education in the class of 73 has become the master teacher for another student from the class of 86 in San Francisco. Now you know it's time to shelve my chalk and text. Last week I bumped into Tom Richards, you know Tom and his sister, who just graduated from Yale, and he returned to relate that he won a scholarship to go to Sydney University, Australia, to write poetry. The point I'm getting at is the world's out there, and it's just waiting for you guys to come and do what you want to do and be good at it, and you'll do well. Finally, wrong page. Finally, it was only a couple of years ago, by the way, that Tom and I were arguing all kinds of politics. A very conservative guy, and you can see that memory fades because it was 6 years ago. It's been a real thrill to watch others become mayors of our local communities, run for the assembly, do jobs in the House and the Senate. But the ultimate joy for me is when I bump into former students where they work, who share their pride in still donating blood, working for their precincts for pet causes, and sharing with me the fun of their family and their kids. How lucky can you get?